From the Hyatt Regency, Trinidad and Tobago, welcome to O2N Style 2020 Creative Conversation.
Hello. So we go way back. We can't tell them that because we're not carbon dating here. Okay? One of the things when I read your story is that Claudia was actually working in a Department of Education. Started importing clothes first and then said, these clothes are fitting these people so good, so she stripped it down to see how inside that they're going to try to fit it to this Caribbean woman's body. Right? So one time she identified there is a niche that she needs to cater to. Right? So in spite of circumstance, just as in spite of COVID, we have to pursue a new way. Tell us how you shifted from working probably in an administrative space to design. A lot of people don't know that, you know. They thought you sewing dolly clothes, something just small.
No. I came from education.
Yeah.
It's like Catherine said, networking is so key. It's a key to success, really, understanding networking. When I was at university, I used to travel a lot to Europe, you know, with my fiancé. We go on vacation, come back, and I would shop and come back and sell to my friends. And one of the professors on campus said to me one day, he said, Claudia, if you ever want to go into business, I will back you. And I kept that to the back of my head. And then my brother, who was living in London for many, many years, decided to come back to Trinidad. He'd gotten a job with Petrotrin, or one of them, and he brought back his wife, and she was the one with the fashion background. So she came back to Trinidad and she needed something to do. So I said, let's go into the fashion business, let's open a boutique. So I remembered what this professor told me. So I said to her, okay, so we will set up this store, you will run it, since you have the experience, and I will get the financial backing, and we'd start. Anyway, that happened, and we started, and 1 year after we started, I don't even think it was a full year, my brother decided to return to England because both he and his wife, they couldn't adjust the way they wanted to. So she had to go back, and I was left with the shop.
Yeah.
Now, I had absolutely no training in design. But I grew up with my aunt, who was a master seamstress. And so as a child, my games were my games were sitting at the side of a machine and helping my aunt with pins and needles and basting and so on. So I decided, look, I am not going, my philosophy is never to turn back. So I decided I was not turning back.
Yeah.
This shop was continuing. Like Nicole said today, the show goes on.
Yeah.
So I went to my boss and I asked him if I would get some leave to, you know, get this business going, and then after a year maybe come back. And he said, Claudia, you've been a really good worker. I can't do that. You'd have to resign. But if you ever needed to come back.
Wow.
Yes. So I had that again at the back of my head. And I went into business. We were importing the clothes from London. And I realized that the clothes were not fitting the Caribbean figure the way I thought it should fit.
Yeah.
So I started ripping the clothes apart and shaping them to the Caribbean figure. I presume I was innovative in doing that because to today, that's the key to my success, is understanding the Caribbean aesthetic, understanding the Caribbean woman shape. And, you know, after 1 year, I switched from importing to producing locally, and the rest is history. Networking along the way, people opened doors for me. I had a lot of people who opened doors for me. And from one store to another, I started in 77. I opened my second store in 78. And I think about 79, I had three stores. And, you know, the rest is history.
One of the things that you did do is that you went off to Spain.
Yes.
And part of accepting the path that had been thrust upon you, you thought it was necessary to fine-tune your skill.
Yes.
So this is what we're looking at our stories here to see how people could borrow from it. So yes, this seeming accident of fate happened, but if you have to continue doing it, you need to hone your craft.
Yeah. Well, the thing for me is I believe in Caribbean excellence. And my job is not done until I can leave a mark in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
I remember one of my first foreign trips as a designer going to export was in Venezuela. And I went on a trade mission via the Venezuelan embassy. And at the time, I was working along with a designer from Switzerland. And I took these beautiful clothes to Venezuela I created this collection based on what I had seen in the Caribbean before. So we went to Venezuela, and that show was, to today, I've never been to another show like that. I mean, the standard was just so high that when I brought my collection out, I just thought, oh my God, no. No, they will kill me here. So I asked them to team up with an accessory designer. And I teamed up with, I can't remember his name, but he was the guy who did the crowns for the Miss Universe.
Miss Universe.
Eleazar something, can't remember. Anyway, so we styled the collection, and the collection became a great hit.
Yeah.
Because I saw the marriage between the garment and the accessories. And I also saw what excellence was all about. So when I came back home, I decided I was not going to be the same Claudia Pegus again. I am going to take my brand to another level. So I decided to close all my stores and go to Barcelona because an opportunity presented itself. I thought that I would go and learn Spanish properly, fluently. I also thought that I would perfect the style, the art of couture. So I went to school, and I also started working with the old masters. I absolutely fell in love with Spain. While I was in Barcelona, I also realized that nobody knew anything about Trinidad. They thought Trinidad was in Jamaica.
Yeah.
So then I realized, listen, what I have to do is I have to put Trinidad on the map. So that became a fixation with me. I had to put Trinidad on the map. And from Barcelona, when my time was up, I then went to Paris. From Paris, I went to Switzerland, then I went to Germany, I went to London, and I moved around Europe quite a bit and started getting very affluent clients. I started working with them. Now, I took a little machine with me, I must tell you. Yeah, I took a little Singer machine with me to Barcelona, and that machine toured all over Europe with me. So from there, I came back home, and I decided that I am going to take everything and go back to Barcelona, because I thought that is the start of my career. It so happened that I lost everything, and I had to come back to Trinidad to settle that matter. I came back to Trinidad to settle that matter, to go back, and I'm still here. And for me, my journey is all about putting Trinidad on the map and getting people to understand that we can do exactly what Europe can do.
When you raised that other point there about losing things, my next point is that you've had some setbacks.
Yes.
That became national news. Claudia Pegus was robbed.
Yes.
And everybody, I called you, and you told me the horrific story, and it would be daunting to most people. And some people might want to move out of it. There was one time you downsized and you went to Tobago, and you were in a little atelier in Tobago. So you constantly reinvent yourself. And that's what I think is a special mastery, that you reimagine in yourself. You know, and that is what I want you to share a little of it, because just as you say, you lost everything and you had to come back, and you just roll with the punches, and that's amazing.
Well, you know, I had a very strong mother, and she instilled in me that you should never look back. You should always go forward. And that in every setback, there's an opportunity. When I opened my second store, I had many, many setbacks. I mean, that store was robbed so many times that I could no insurance company wanted to give me insurance.
Oh my God.
It was that bad. And I didn't give up. I continued. If a bandit came through one hole, I blocked it, and another one. And anyway, I continued. Then I was offered a space in K Plaza, and I moved to K Plaza. There was security there and everything. And from there, I realized that I had to shift, because the type of garments that I took from Frederick Street to K Plaza was not the type of merchandise that the market in that area wanted.
Plaza, yep.
So again, I learned how to understand the market and how to make the market work for you. I opened this beautiful store in K Plaza, and nobody bought anything, but everybody passed and said, "What a beautiful store." And I learned that it's not the merchandise, it's understanding the need of the consumer. So one day I emptied the entire store and changed all the merchandise. That was my most successful store. So that was a lesson I learned. Then I went back and I opened another store in the same mall, selling the clothes that I wanted to sell. And there and then, that was when I got the opportunity to go to Barcelona. I moved to Barcelona. When I came back to Trinidad, the Edmund Hart band, they called me and they wanted me to do some costumes for them. And at the same time, one of my clients said to me, "Claudia, I have a space. If you're thinking of staying, there's a space for you." So I got work, I got a space. When I opened that space, I came up with a new concept of just having the samples in front, the merchandise in the back. Someone again saw the store, saw the merchandise, and thought, "Wow, this is so great. We are opening a new mall downtown, and if you're interested, we'd like to give you a space." I then said, "I will take a space, but I want to design my own space."
Yep.
So to me, it's all about understanding the value of an opportunity, understanding how to network, and understanding how to make things work for you.
Yeah. Another feature that I like, strongly admire, is that sometimes you have people who are given their accolades and they kind of rest on their laurels, and you don't ever seem to do that. You have been given a national award. You have been called the master designer at Caribbean Fashion Week. I was there, I think must be 2 of those years with you, and the respect that you have there is so high. And you never, it's almost like, I know of an artist, and they say she's performing for 6 decades, and she's always on the edge, the cutting edge. She's never sitting back and thinking that what was done before, I am as good as my last job. And no, you keep pushing. That resilience, share a tad of that, because that is what I think we need to leave this ballroom here with that quality.
Well, competition feeds me. So competition for me is like energy. I need competition to keep me on my toes and to keep me better than my last success. So for me, and again, I don't like to frequent myself with people older than I am too often, because I don't think that in many instances they can teach me. So I like to be among younger people, because 1, I feel as though I have to catch up with knowledge. 2, I learn from them and they feed me. So young people are very, very important to me. And to me, success is only as good as the period for which you got it. So perhaps I might be successful in 2019, but in 2020, that's a different ballgame. Maybe there are new players on the field. So for me, success, is transient. I always have to be better than my last best.
Okay, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's Claudia Pegus, Style Maven from Trinidad and Tobago. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Richard. It was a pleasure being here.